Today, Nintendo posted short-form video content on social media platforms advertising their game Rhythm Heaven Groove for the Nintendo Switch. And oh happy joyous day, they have finally given us a release date. It's been over a year, right? Like they revealed the game over a year. I don't get it. I genuinely do not understand why it's like between that and Tomodachi like why were these two games the kind of ones that you reveal and then make us wait? Like super, I don't understand. Whatever, who cares? It's probably one of those things where the game has actually been done for a long time. They just are waiting for the right slot to, in the schedule to release it. No, whatever. July 2nd. It is coming on the 2nd of July, 2026. Very, very nice to have a date. Only gotta wait 3 more months and then we'll have our grubby little fingers on that game. Can't wait. But you know what's got me even more excited than the revelation that we will be playing this game in early July? It's the price. Nintendo, pre-orders are live and everything, and so now we know the price, and of course it's gonna vary by region, but at least here in the good old USOA, $40, $40, $40 dues. This is not going to be a split thing where the digital is one price and the physical is another price. It seems that's only going to be for Switch 2 games. This is technically a Switch 1 game, so it is just the one price, but it's $40 and it's getting a physical edition and everything. And I just think that's very surprising. It's very surprising because that's actually I'm not gonna say cheap. I'm gonna say relatively inexpensive, comparatively inexpensive, even by Switch 1 generation standards. Just look back at all the other Switch 1 games. Almost every single one was $60. It almost didn't even matter how small the game was, how small the budget was, how short the experience was, how little content there was. $60 was the standard almost across the board. And there were some, quote, budget games. There was some flexible pricing, but most of the time, that budget price was $50. Yeah, 50, just only $10 off, I can't. Poor WarioWare Move It. It's a nice game, but I don't know. $50 for a tiny little mini game collection that unless you really want to get super good and play with your friends, yada yada, it's a few hours of content. I don't have a list in front of me or anything, but there were not a lot of games below that $50 mark. I want to say Switch Sports, at least without the DLC, I want to say that was $40. I think that was one of the only ones that was $40, and even then is did they just do that? Because we gave away the other one for free, so we gotta be reasonable here. And was Captain Toad, was that $40 as well? I don't know. I really can't remember. It was not a lot. It was really not a lot. And that was then. That was the Switch generation. That was back when, I'm not gonna say back when things were good, back when things weren't as bad yet. Back when the world economic scariness level was significantly lower than it is right now. Even just in the year since the Switch 2 launched and then the year leading up to that, things have just gotten so bad, just economically. I mean, just obviously, do I need to go into it? Just inflation and prices and everything, it's all skyrocketing, and every time any one person makes any one really horrible, awful, short-sighted, selfish decision, that has a knock-on effect on everything else. And so the more pressure that gets put on the economy and everything, then the prices go up, and then the businesses have to raise their prices even more, and yada yada. And it's just this year, it's really, really bad. Let's just look at it as this generation. Things are so bad that prices are going up across the board, all across the entire industry. Nintendo have had to tighten their belt. They've had to raise prices here, raise prices there, gaming prices overall. It's a big thing. So if $40 was considered an extra good budget kind of deal coming from Nintendo during the Switch 1 generation, then now that's just straight up crazy. If some games are $80, that's a half the price. That's half the price right there. That right there is a genuine budget title. Now, obviously, you could absolutely argue that the price could be too much, and I'm not even saying necessarily I agree or not. I'm just saying, like, it could be posited by anyone that that's still a lot, especially when you look at the rest of the industry. You look at comparative experiences in the independent realm, where you are likely to find a product that's just about as good, if not as good, if not maybe even better, for half the price or even less. Yes, $40, you are still paying a premium to play this Nintendo product. No matter what, you are going to be paying more to buy this kind of thing from Nintendo. I do think that in ways they do, you know, there's a lot of quality there, obviously, and of course, the game looks really great. Whatever, the point I'm just trying to make is, it's still not like the cheapest game in the world. $40 is still kind of a lot. And you know, I don't know how much content is in the game, but it is a lot like WarioWare. It is like basically a mini game collection, a micro game collection. Unless you're really looking to, like, you know, chase after those high scores or whatever, I would not be surprised if this ends up being a relatively content-light experience. But all things considered, coming from Nintendo, $40 is a really, really low price. And I really like this a lot. I kind of feel like, I mean, I even said it, I did a video at the beginning of the year just kind of outlining, like, okay, look, things are weird with Nintendo right now, and they're having to raise prices, and it stinks, but, like, if they're gonna keep doing this, if they're gonna keep charging a premium for everything, if they're gonna keep, like, being scuzzy in their own ways, then, like, they gotta work with us, they gotta throw us a bone, and they just need to be more flexible with their pricing. Because I really had a big problem. I mean, I've complained about it a million trillion times during the Switch 1 generation. It feels like there were a lot of games that really would have benefited from getting into more hands. Because, like, you've got these games from these, like, you know, lesser known series that don't typically sell really well. It's like, well, you want to grow that audience, but if you price it too high, then mostly it's just going to be bought by pre-existing fans of the series, the loyal fans who are very excited to get a new title or a cool remake. But, like, you end up leaving out all of the other people who are, you know, potentially interested, but, like, I don't want to pay $50, $60 for this game, especially if it's going to be like 3 hours long. So a lack of flexible pricing, or, you know, rather pricing that I did not feel was flexible enough, that was a big problem throughout the Switch generation. So, like, if Nintendo can actually start to be a lot more flexible with their pricing, I think that's only a good thing. This whole thing where, like, no, if it's got Nintendo stamped on it, it's going to be a minimum of this price. It just doesn't make sense. It creates this, I think they want to create sort of a mindset in the consumer that, like, all of these games are expensive because all Nintendo games are great. You know, I just, like, no, you're paying a premium because they are all wonderful, perfect, amazing games. And I can kind of sort of see, like, the corporate kind of angled perspective there. But I think realistically, they do just need to be more flexible, because, like, do you want people to buy your game? You know, like, just simple as that. Do you want people to buy your game? Because they're looking at it and they can see what kind of game it is. They can tell if it's kind of a lower budget game. They can read the reviews that will tell them how much content is in the game. So, like, you got to be flexible, you know? Okay, oh, charging $80 for new games now. Some of these are going to be 80. Well, then, like, can you throw me a bone. If I'm going to pay 70 or 80 for the game that I'm going to play for 100 hours and it's going to be this mind-melting AAA experience, then, like, for the little mini game collection, could just ease up a little bit. I mean, if you look at, like, the comparative experiences, like, you know, just like the amount of hours and the budget and everything, you should be charging like 10 for this. Like, you look at a game like DK or Zelda or whatever. Just so, like, I'm, you know, okay, I get it though. That's too far. You can't be too flexible. Meet us in the middle. Meet us in the middle. $40 for the new Rhythm Heaven game. All right. I think that's pretty all right for Nintendo. In a perfect world, they would just give us more, like, really small budget titles and sell them on the eShop for, you know, 10, 15, 20 bucks. That really is something that was really, really missing during the Switch generation. And this isn't quite that. It's still not quite that, but it's at least it's a step in the right direction. We should be seeing dramatically different pricing schemes for these games with dramatically different experiences and budgets and whatnot. We've got stuff to play, doesn't hurt our wallets quite as much, but then most importantly, in the long run, the idea is that more people will play these games, that will grow the audience, that will grow the fan base for the games. So yeah, like long term, potentially, ideally, you end up making even more money than if you had just charged like 50, 60 bucks. Made more money per unit, but you locked out a whole ton of players. I think I've made my point. I think I'm getting a little circly here. I'm doing the loop-de-loop, so I guess I better wrap this up. To wrap things up, things are now wrapped up. See you later.